Thanks. Step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. I don't know about you, but every time I hear that, I hear the next line that says, "This sounds like a tall order." I'm an addict named Brian.
Brian.
The reason that line comes to mind right away after I hear this step is because the most frequent place I hear the 12th step talked about is at the end of the reading that we're kind of not listening to at the beginning of the meeting. Because we've gotten into that habit of sort of just going along with it. I remember to say, "What about alcohol?" I remember to always do that. That's like my role now because people don't do that very often anymore. So I'm like the last holdout for the guy who goes, "What about alcohol?" But I think it's important to say it that many times and to say it over and over again because this is the step, this is like the most important step that we talk so very little about. That we have a basic understanding of. We all remember not being on the 12th step and reading the 12th step. And right at the beginning of the chapter in the basic text, it talks about how even a newcomer with a day clean is able to carry the message. And we're like, good, because I am nowhere near this step and I'm not going to be for a long time. So thank God I don't have to do a whole lot to do this. But the most important part of the step is put right at the beginning where it says, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. This is the step. This is the step where we get to explode out into the world with everything that we've learned as a result of Narcotics Anonymous and the things that we've gone through. This is where all the heartache and the heartfelt trials and tribulations of being in recovery come into fruition and allow us to carry the message. And the message comes as a result of what? The spiritual awakening. And the book is really clear that the spiritual awakening is going to be very different for different people. And I'm so glad that Izzy said what she said. That everybody's spiritual path is very different. My sponsor, God bless him, he is very much into his religion. And every time I bring up higher power, he goes, "And your higher power is?" Like he's just dying to get me to say it's that one guy. And that's not my guy. That's not my guy. But I know he's doing it out of playful fun. But the point being is that everybody has their own spiritual path and everybody's spiritual awakening is going to be different. However, that doesn't mean we should rob ourselves of it. So many of us haven't had a chance to work this step. We see the part of the book that says you don't have to be on the 12th step to carry the message. And I know for myself, that was a relief because it meant I didn't have to do the 12th step in order to feel like an important messenger of Narcotics Anonymous. It is very common for us to want to help others before we help ourselves. We get into the program, we have low self-esteem, I don't want to take care of me, I want to learn how to take care of other people so that you'll think I'm a good person. That's what that's about. It's it's amazing when you get to that just for today, the first time you read that JFT that says that, "Oh, you told me to set a timer and I didn't even turn it on. Let's shave a couple minutes off of that." Okay. It's amazing how we get to the part in the just for today that informs us that people pleasing is one of the most insidious forms of manipulation, and we're like, what? I didn't know that was manipulation. I'm totally manipulating you. I'm trying to do whatever is necessary to get you to think the way I want you to think, to feel the way I want you to feel about me. That's what people pleasing is. And before we've gotten a chance to have a spiritual awakening, to learn how to like ourselves and to know what these steps are all about, when we're carrying the message, very often all we're trying to do is to people please, is to get other people to like me or think I'm a swell guy. And the reason I know this is true is because, and for me, the reason I know this is true is because when I really like something, I study it, I learn it, I play with it, I get all into it, I get as much information as I can about it, right? When I'm really interested in it, when I'm dedicated to it. When I started dating Jenny, who has been my wife now for 13 years, when I first started dating Jenny, I was trying to get as much information about Jenny as I could. I wanted to know what she liked. I had to get close enough to see what color the eyes were, because I don't pay attention. And, all that stuff. Because I cared, because it mattered, because I wanted to be able to I wanted to impress her, she said, I love you first. And so now every year, for all these years we've been together, we don't do Valentine's Day, but she still always forgets every year that a few days after Valentine's Day is the anniversary of the day that she said, I love you. So every year I go out and I get some flowers and I give her to her and I say, I love you too. And she goes, oh, I love it, it's great, right? I want her, that's what I want her to do. That's the whole point. I remember that because I care. I care. So I pay attention. So when we go out and try to carry the message before we've done the work to find out why we should be doing it and what that message is, it's not that we're necessarily saying, I'm going to bring it back. I wasn't doing it for the right reason. I wasn't doing it for the right reason. I was doing it because I wanted to be liked. I was doing it because I wanted people to think that my recovery was impressive. I highlighted the crap out of my book because I wanted people to think I read it. Swear to God. Now, right? I wanted people to think I read it. Here's the trick, though. You got to read it to highlight it, so I did. But that was the idea behind it. I went to a family meeting with the good sponsor I had at the time, and these dudes opened their books, and those books were loaded. It was like Rainbow Bright. Threw up all over them. Like 17 colors. They would highlight, and then when they would underline it, and then they would circle it. And I was like, hot damn, that is a really important sentence. So I, like I've got blue and yellow, and I've got green because, so very important. But because I wanted you to think something important, I wanted you to think that I was important. But the point of carrying the message isn't to make me feel important. The point of carrying the message isn't necessarily only to help me stay clean. The point of carrying the message is that somewhere out there is an addict who has absolutely no idea what they're going to do. They have no idea what they're going to do, and they don't know what to do. They don't know who to turn to. And the spiritual awakening for me was the realization that I haven't the foggiest idea what to tell that addict. I have no idea what to tell him or her. I don't have their answers. I spoke at a convention once, and I spoke at a convention. But no, that's not the point. Being is that somebody thought I knew something because I was the speaker, and there's some poor guy who's losing his mind, and they're at, oh man, this guy's in really bad shape. Oh hey, speaker, go talk to this guy because he's in bad shape. And I was like, oh no, I'm caught. They're going to find out I don't know anything about anything. Right? And I go in and I see this dude, and apparently he was like out on a prison pass, or he was on, one of these task release things or something like that. And he's sitting in his room, right? And he's sitting in his couch, and he's all like, and he's cussing just like the devil just coming at him. I'm like, what do you want me to do with this guy? I have no idea what to say to this guy. I'm totally terrified, right? And so I was like, hey, how's it going? Looks like it kind of sucks, And he said, yeah, it does suck. And I just talked to him, because here's the thing. Here's the dirty secret that nobody tells you when you're a teenager, and most of us as adults may not even realize this yet. Nobody has any idea what they're doing. I don't mean in Narcotics Anonymous. I mean in the world. Nobody has any idea what they're doing. The people who look like they know what they're doing are just better at hiding it. Some of us, we do. We know some things. But the reality is that there's always a time for any human being where you found yourself thinking, I think I'm supposed to know something at this point. And I don't know what it is. Nobody's looking while this is happening. And the reality is that for me, the spiritual awakening was realizing that being a member of Narcotics Anonymous who has found freedom from active addiction is the message. It's not what I'm going to say. It's how I live. And it's so important. I'm glad you said that, because it's so important. There's not too many times they do this in the basic text, but if you look at step 12, when they talk about it, it says what we say isn't important. It's how we live it. They changed the font. That's huge. They don't do that too often. They went like, we're going to Arial for this bad boy. Right? All caps Arial. It was that important to say that the most important thing is how we live it. So how I live and the fact that I found freedom from active addiction and that I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous is the message. And I think it's why the wording is so important. And they say we try to carry this message to addicts, because trying is the most important thing. I have no idea how to do it right. I've never known how to do it right. I'm a sham, man. I don't know how to All I know is that if somebody is hurting, I got to try. I'm just going to talk to them. I don't know what I'm going to say. And it's the trying that matters. You know, they always tell you if you want to start counting calories, all you have to do, or you want to lose weight, you don't actually have to try that hard. All you have to do is start paying attention to what you eat, and then you're like, oh, whoa, and you just automatically start eating less. You know, it's the effort that matters. It's putting your heart, it's being willing. It's that second and third step all over again, is being willing and accepting that this is the way that it is, that I don't have the answers. I never did. I didn't have them for my own recovery. I certainly don't have them for anybody else's. So I just show up. And sometimes, and this is hard for me, this one was very hard for me, sometimes what I need to do for someone who's in a bad spot is show up and shut up. And just be with them. I say nothing. I don't know what to say. I'm going to say something stupid. Right? And the good news is that I'm really trying. If my heart's in it, I probably will say something stupid, and that still won't matter. You know, if they understand that my heart is in it and I'm trying to do the right thing. Because the message is in how we live it. And if that person sees that I'm doing my best and taking my time to sit with them, that's what they're going to remember. Somebody said something awesome to me once. He said, I don't give my phone number to newcomers. I get their phone number, I put it in my phone, and then I set an alarm for 2 days later. And I just call them. And it makes them feel like $1 million because they got a phone call from this random person, and it made them feel important, because we don't feel important when we get here. The other part that's amazing about the spiritual awakenings is how used to miracles we get that we become numb to them. We don't even realize that they're around us anymore. And I compare this to sort of like, you know, the Avengers. If you've got a bunch of Avengers sitting, it's not like every time the Avengers get together, they're like, holy cow, look at the Hulk, just hulked out, he's huge, but you're an Asgardian god. They're like, no, they know that already. It's already amazing. They're not amazed every time they run into each other. Like, your shield is amazing. No, they already know that. So, like, we've already had these spiritual awakenings and these miracles in our lives, and we're used to them. I'm used to seeing people who have been here for decades. I forget that it's a miracle. It's like sensory adaptation. I get accustomed to it. But it doesn't make it any less amazing. And what I have to remember is that even though it's not amazing to me anymore, it's amazing to someone new walking in the door who has never seen this. I did not believe a soul in this room who said they had 90 days clean when I got clean. Not a soul. I thought you meant you just didn't do most things. You probably did a thing, or you were just lying. You were just lying because you were happy, and I didn't understand how to be happy without being high. Not that I probably even knew what happy was, but my equivalent of happy, while high. So to them it is a miracle. To them it is amazing. To them it is the Avengers for the first time. It is this group of people who are doing incredible things and reaching out with all of their heart to try to help other people. This isn't just special for being addicts. This is special, period. This doesn't exist, guys, in society where people get together with like minds with a specific program to be able to become better people. And the whole purpose of it is to be able to carry that message back outside and make it available for somebody else. The catharsis that comes from that and the actual, you know, the congruency of feeling and emotion and action, it just doesn't happen that much in real life. We are so lucky. It is crazy to have this many miracles sitting around, and we're just used to it. We're just used to it. It's amazing. And the whole point of this, I believe, is that, and I think another thing that we don't take into consideration very often is that Narcotics Anonymous is not that old of a fellowship. We haven't been around that long in the big scheme of things. We don't have the luxury of being on cruise control and just thinking Narcotics Anonymous will be just fine no matter what we do. The point is to carry this message so that NA lives long enough to be able to carry that message again and again and again. To the people who were nice enough to me, the people who bought me that book when I first walked in the door, you know, the people who told me I didn't have to use it anymore, the people that were nice enough to give me a white key tag when I had 0 days clean and was still high as a kite, those people made it possible for me to be able to carry a message again. And the point of the 12 step is to bring this out as much as possible. You know, the spiritual awakening makes it so that we can try to practice these principles in all our affairs. Then that 12th step is the culmination of us doing that. I've done all this work and now I'm ready to bring it out here. And there's this old saying, it's not said as much, but I used to love it, the I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I love it when people say I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I used to do this, right? I would agree to a 12-step program, and I would agree that it was a God-given 12-step program, and it was really important that I would do that 12-step program. And then I would get like here, and then I would just chill. This is good. 2 is good. Right? There's 10 more, and I said God wanted me to do them, but I'm cool. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Get off my back. Mind your own business. Do your own program. Right? Get so angry. I heard somebody. It had been a while since I had heard somebody, but I heard it again recently. the heartbreak and the frustration in the voice of a member with years of clean time sharing in a meeting how they had not worked steps yet. How they had allowed the disease of addiction to frighten them away from a fourth step for over a decade. Guys, I'd be terrified of that experience. I had to know. There was so much about me that I had to learn. Because for me, practicing the principles in all my affairs isn't just about making my life better. And it's not just about carrying the message to the still suffering addict. I have a responsibility to the people that are around me who will be adversely affected if I do not take care of myself. I've got a wife and kids now. They will be adversely affected if I do not take care of myself. If I don't do what I need to do to be a good man, to be a good father and a good husband, I have a job to do. What's amazing is that if I do not remember that I'm a miracle, and I do not stay in the solution of carrying this message to the addict who still suffers, I will, get ready for it because it's impressive, resent the hell out of my miracle. I will come to resent everything good that has been given to me by Narcotics Anonymous. I will go so far as to resent Narcotics Anonymous itself. I will get to a point in my recovery where I will say, it feels like recovery is not doing it for me anymore. Or there's something missing that's not here the way that it used to be. And the reality is, it never was there. It was never doing anything. It was me. I'm the one that's absent from my recovery. I'm the one that stopped doing work. I'm the one that's questioning God. God didn't do anything. He's doing nothing different. He's in the exact same place he's been the whole time. He's like, what are you doing? I just get weird. I just get weird. I get squirrely. I start questioning things, and it's me. I'm the one that's off track. When I hear about friends who are going back out the door with 10, 12, 13, 15 years clean, and the reasons behind it are that NA isn't doing it for them anymore. NA's never done anything, you know what I'm saying? I had to show up, and people that were in NA did things for me, and now it's my job to keep giving back. I've been here for a couple cups of coffee. I am not here to suck off the teat of Narcotics Anonymous. That is not my job. I'm not here for people to make me feel better. That's not my thing anymore. I'm not at the kids' table anymore waiting for somebody to bring me my turkey. That's not how it works anymore. I have to get up and go stand in line and get turkey for me and for the boys. They're teenagers now, so they don't eat anything. But you know what I'm saying? That's my role has changed. I don't get to regress into childhood of recovery and expect recovery to just shower on me like manna. It's not going to happen that way. That's not how it works anymore. It's my job to do this. It's my job. And the reality is, and I think it's important too, that the 12 step says that we should not give advice. Because when we give advice to people, we lose their respect. And here's why we lose their respect. I have no idea what I'm doing right now. I have no idea what I'm doing right now. I'm in school. I'm supposed to be doing papers. I'm not doing papers. I'm doing anything other than homework all the time. I put off huge amounts of work until there is exceptionally compact periods of time. Then I do it on purpose. And the whole time I think, I shouldn't be doing this. And then it gets here. And you know what? I love it. I love it. I love the chaos and drama and destruction of a marathon of lunacy and late nights. And then I throw it in and I get an A and I totally reward this horrible behavior. And then I'm like, all right, but I'm getting too old for this, man. I'm getting too old for this, right? I don't know what I'm doing. I've got no business telling anybody else what they should be doing. I don't know what I did right because I did lots of things in recovery. Some of them seemed pretty damn wrong and I stayed clean. Some of them seemed pretty damn right and yet didn't seem to work out the way that I expected it to. So I don't know what the answers are. I've got no business. And the fact of the matter is, sometimes there is no right thing, guys. Sometimes people, it is not uncommon to find someone who's still in active addiction or in early recovery who is just doing this, right? Paint and bucket towards the, and they're doing this, and you're going, hey, and you're like, I don't know what to tell you. And, right? The whole time you're like, don't do that. I'm like, I know I shouldn't. And they get right here, and then they go, what do I do? I have no idea what you should do at this point. Your shoes are getting dirty, man. There's no way out. There is no right way to fix this. Sometimes there isn't a next right thing. All you got to do is be there for them when they take their lumps. Sometimes we have to go to jail. Sometimes we have to pay a fee. Sometimes we have to get kicked out of school or drop a class or get punched in the mouth or ask me how I know to learn a lesson. And there's no way around that. It just has to happen. And so it's not for me to try to explain to them what they should have done. because boy, everybody knows they love to hear that when they're in a bad spot. My job is just to be there, to support. And if I've had that experience, if I know what it's like to be back here and have, sticky shoes when it's all over and done with, then I can tell them about the time I had sticky shoes and that I'm still clean, that I didn't have to use over it. I don't resent Narcotics Anonymous. I love being a member of Narcotics Anonymous. I grew up in Narcotics Anonymous. I came here as a child. I was 20 years old, and I've been here ever since. And I don't come to meetings because I have to. I come to meetings because I want to. I do things like this because I love to be the center of attention, but also because I like carrying the message. Because I want to give back to Narcotics Anonymous, because I want to be a part of this. This is my family. You can't make me go. You can't make me go. Right? You guys could all rotate out, and I would stay. I would stay. And that has happened. For anybody with a few cups of coffee under your belt, you'll know that people rotate out, and there's nothing I can do about that. But I'm still here. I have no reason to go. This is family. I don't necessarily always like my brother, but he is my family. And I have people here that I have butted heads with, but I'll tell you what, there's people that I've butted heads with in this program who have seen me in a bad spot, and despite the fact we don't particularly like each other, he sure as hell told me what I needed to hear. He might have even enjoyed it. But the fact was that he took his responsibility as a recovering addict more seriously than whether or not he and I got along particularly well. And that's what this is about. Carrying the message is one of the biggest gifts we can have, and the reason we're so excited to do it when it finally gets to this point is because it is the culmination of everything we've done. I do have a spiritual awakening. I know who I am. I know who I am. I couldn't say that for a long time, even after I got clean. I know who I am. I know what I am. I know that I have faults. I know that not everybody's going to like me. I know that my wife wants to stay with me. I don't know why, but she does. I know these things now, and I can be comfortable in my own skin. And I can be wrong, and you can be right. You can be wrong. Sometimes I'm right. You never know. But I'm okay with all of it. And the point being is that the spiritual awakening comes as a result of the steps. And I would rather see anybody do 12 awful steps than 4 perfect ones. Yeah. You can't do, I don't know what right is. I don't think you can do them right. What's right? Are we handing in papers? I don't know. Somebody handed me a new book and said, that workbook's no good. Here, use this workbook. That workbook has too many questions. But that one had 69 questions, and this one has 57. There's 12 different. Is that the barrier? Was that the difference between these two? It's just a matter of whether or not you want to work steps. If you want to work steps. It's going to be good. Or don't call them that. I found that if I say I'm studying the step, I'm more likely to do something. If I say work step, I'm like, oh no. Because I envision working steps as like where you have to sit down for an hour and do like an hour instead of just like touching on it every once in a while and living it and reading about it and talking about it, which is what I do with things that I like. I don't know why I don't do it with the steps. But that's the reality of it. These steps, this 12th step, once you get to it, and the best thing is that you just do it again. You get to do it over and over again. You have new experiences. And my sponsor likes to chide me and say, well, you do 10, 11, 12 enough, you don't have to do the other ones again. But I've gotten a lot of good work out of extra 4th steps. Lots, because I had to do a 4th step over murdering my stepson, and I got a lot out of it. He lives. So that's good. And usually, you find out, hey, it was me. That was the problem. Go figure. But just having that cycle, and if you want to know why it is that I like being in NA, pull me aside and ask me. If you're already feeling like it's a burden, pull me aside and ask me why I don't think it is. Because when it comes down to it, I wouldn't be the man that I am today, the friend that I am today. I wouldn't be anything today if it wasn't for Narcotics Anonymous. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be happy. Because I can say I'm genuinely happy as a result of the 12 steps. Not because of hanging out with you guys. I mean, you're cool and all, but because I did my homework, which is the message. I'm probably supposed to go home and do that now. But I appreciate being asked to come out. Wayno, thank you so much for asking me to share. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll keep coming back. Thank you.